What's up everyone, Multi-Apples here bringing you another video, and today we'll be playing some FIFA 11. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Let's make an offer to get a player from Andorra. Enter amount and submit. And see if we can get one from Armenia as well. Yagan, even though he's the lowest rated player. 1,872,100. And now we can play our next match. So I'm not sure if I started a career mode in any of my previous FIFA 11 videos, but if I did, I'm restarting the career mode now. May have deleted the career mode. Score one goal before we actually start the game, but oh well, I'll start the game. So I know the FIFA series, as owned by EA, is going to be rebranded as EA Sports FC, and well, they usually release that game every year, usually in September. Could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. When it was FIFA, so I'm expecting it to be released in September this year, which is 2 months from now, and it's a starting lineup. So I'm I usually enjoy playing the FIFA series. It's not my favorite game or game series to play, but I enjoy it every time I do. I love the World Cup mode, the World Cup video games as well. So I really wish they would have released. I really wish FIFA, EA would have actually released the 2018 and 2022 FIFA World Cup video games. They would have made it instead of having it as DLC for I believe it was FIFA 18 and FIFA 19 and then FIFA 23. So we scored our first goal against Sevilla. This is a friendly, this is a preseason game, so we're not actually, this won't count towards anything really. I mean, besides our career statistics as a manager. Oh, that was a nice save. I've never seen an Ajax game in person. All the Ajax games I've watched have been on TV. Never seen a Sevilla game in person. Well, actually, all of the Ajax games I've watched have been on either Paramount Plus or ESPN Plus. But I have attended one La Liga game in person, and that was in 2019, and it was in Madrid. It was a Real Madrid game, and they played Osasuna. And if I remember correctly, Real Madrid won. I don't remember the score, but it was by one or two goals. It was in September or October of 2019 when I went around that time. Actually, I stayed for like 19 days in Spain, and I went for a couple of hours to for a couple of hours I went to Gibraltar as well. I loved Gibraltar when I went there. I love Spain as well, but I was sick because I think within the first 3 days of my vacation there, I got food poisoning. I remember I went with my family, and each of us had something different, and I was the only one that got sick, so it is so far my only experience with food poisoning, and I did not enjoy it. Say I would have enjoyed the trip more if I hadn't had food poisoning, so I do remember I had some Mexican food there, and that's what got me sick. Actually, the day I arrived in Spain, I went to see a Real Madrid game, so when I was younger, when I was a kid, I could sleep on the plane at any when I was a kid. I think starting in my teens, I just was unable to sleep on planes. And now as an adult, I still can't sleep on a plane. I It's usually to my size, but also because I just don't feel comfortable on a plane. And so when I'm traveling from the US to like Europe, I'm usually up for about 24 hours, roughly. Just because my flight usually it leaves in midday, and then I have a layover, and then I'll go to Europe. So that's whenever I travel to Europe. The downside to that is the very first day there, I'm usually completely exhausted, and I pretty much won't feel tired enough to at least sleep until maybe like the final hour of the flight. And just to give you my heads up of what it's like to travel to Europe for me when I usually travel once a year. Um, usually, I'm more of a night owl, so I usually go to bed usually after midnight. It ranges from about midnight to about 2 or 3, maybe 4 on some nights. And then so yeah. So if I'm traveling to Europe, my flights will usually be around between noon and maybe 3. Excuse me for coughing. How many substitutions are we allowed? I know I'm taking Luis Suarez out. That's intentional. Anyway, so yeah, I usually go to bed about. I try to go to bed about 10 hours before um my flight to get a good night's sleep, and usually wake up about 12 and get ready, and then I usually have about an hour or two. I usually wake up about maybe sometime between 11 and 1, and then, well, 11 and 12, really, depending on when my flight leaves. So I usually get up maybe about 3, 4 hours really before I have to leave for my first flight. Then I'll just get ready. I would have already been packed by then. Oh shoot, that's an own goal. That's not really on him, but I'm sure he would have kept it out had I not switched to him. So anyway, I usually just pack up the remaining things I have to pack up, and then have a shower, brush my teeth, get ready to go out, and then go to the airport. We usually arrive an hour or two before the flight, and then stay in the airport until it's time to board. Then we'll usually lay over either Chicago or not Houston. It's only Houston if I'm going to the Caribbean. So actually, are we out of substitutions? That is the main question. I know yes, we are. Stecklenburg retired recently. So I'm gonna miss seeing him play. Anyway, so yeah. And then and it's usually a layover to Houston, or not Houston, it's usually like, so usually get up about a couple of hours before we get ready, then go to the airport, wait for about an hour before the flights, after going through security, and then board the flight. And then we'll usually have a layover in either Chicago or Atlanta. And then wait for, usually for sure an hour. But we usually get to our gate, wait for about an hour or two, and then board the plane, and then it's usually 7 to 8 hour flight from there to Europe, and then yeah, it's roughly 24 hours, I think, around 20 hours maybe. So we allowed another goal. What the point I'm trying to make is I don't get sleep. The day I'm traveling, I don't really get any sleep. I won't feel sleepy until maybe the final hour of the flight. So downside is if I usually travel with my family. I've always traveled with my family, but um, usually we'll arrive, and then it'll take us about an hour or two to get through immigration and security, and get a taxi or Uber, and then get to the hotel and check in. And then so in 24 hours in total. So I usually maybe try and get a little sleep in the final hour of the flight, and on the way to the hotel. And then Yeah, so I'm usually tired, so the downside is I don't get any sleep. Red card, wow. Dragtinovich. Dragutinovich. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ah, shoot. Yeah. The bad side is I don't get much sleep, and I'm usually very cranky and very irritable when I travel for long hours, and I don't get much sleep. The good side is usually during the days I'm actually traveling, I'll always I'll always get some new music and listen to it. Some music that I want to enjoy and download, and some songs that I have that I've actually downloaded, and I'll get to listen to them. And they're usually on each flight, especially with the long flights. If I don't have anything, I usually download some movies as well in case some I usually download some movies or TV shows, some episodes that I want to watch, and of movies I haven't seen yet, and enjoy. I usually watch them on my laptop, or my iPhone, or my iPad. Excuse me for coughing. Um, and I have some movies as well that I purchased on iTunes that I'll watch if I haven't seen them in a couple of years. Ah, shoot, a little too powerful there. I remember when I was traveling to England, to London. It was in 2021. It was the first trip since the pandemic had started and everything was shut down. Um, I'd been vaccinated around that time, I think, as well, thankfully. But I still wore face masks, kept on social, or staying 6 feet away, just, trying to be safe and keep others around me safe as well. When the COVID-19 pandemic was at its height, and, when the vaccines were starting to roll out as well. I remember because on at the time I had a Hulu, and Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, but Hulu doesn't allow you to download any movies or TV shows, and if it does, I don't know how to, or I don't have the subscription service to download because I do have a subscription to Hulu. So on ESPN Plus, I had downloaded an ESPN 30 for 30 documentary about Bo Jackson, and he is a very talented former American football player and baseball player as well. He played professionally in Major League Baseball and the NFL, and he's very good at both. So I just watched a documentary about him, and then that was also I remember downloading several 30 for 30 documentaries and then several Disney Plus movies. I didn't look at all of the 30 for 30 or Disney Plus movies. And I've had Netflix for about 10 years now, so downloaded a Netflix movie or two, and I don't remember what Netflix movies I downloaded, but I didn't watch any of the Netflix movies, so. And then I also downloaded The Incredibles 2 on Disney Plus. Oh well. Anyway, I also download maybe another Disney Plus movie to either watch on the way to England. Sweet. Either on the way to England. Yes, I know that's probably too high. But yeah, I am on the way back, and I don't remember which ones I downloaded, but I remember watching a couple of movies. And usually, if you're traveling from North America to Europe and Europe to North America, usually the airline you're flying with will usually provide some. They're usually, what am I? They usually uh, they usually give you some like I guess it'd be considered like iPads connected to the chairs you're sitting in, at least nowadays, and you would for them you would be able to watch any TV shows or movies or listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Um, shoot. Shoot, we missed it. Your audiobooks to watch. Shoot, hold on. Just want to. Sorry about that. Anyway, they'll usually upload or not upload. They usually offer you some TV shows and movies to watch and maybe audiobooks and podcasts to listen to as well on the iPad and games to play as well to keep you entertained. And if you're like me, I'm not much of a reader, and if I do, hold on. But when I do read, it's the books I usually enjoy are mainly books about history. They're like biographical, they're like biographies or autobiographies or about sports as well, like based off sporting events. And so I usually download movies to uh, I usually which actually I don't think I've read a book on a plane in a while. But when I usually do read, it's mainly I mainly look up stuff on Wikipedia to read for fun. And whenever I do look up usually when I look up stuff about historical figures or sports, it's usually on YouTube as well to watch. So when I'm traveling, I usually like to download some movies. I have iTunes, so I have some music, plenty of music on iTunes, and several movies on iTunes as well that once you purchase, you can watch them anytime you want. Adjust the way I'm sitting really quick. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I usually download it's like I have Netflix, Paramount Plus, um ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Those are the subscriptions that I have. And all but Hulu, all but Hulu allow you to download. Um, Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Essentially all but Hulu allowed you to download to watch offline or when you're not connected to the internet. So I've seen some fairly good movies through those apps. Also, there are some movies as well that I usually fly United or American, and they've provided some good movies that I've seen as well. I remember a few years within uh recently it was sometime between either in 2019, 2021, or last year. I don't remember when, but it's either on the way to Europe or on the way back. And to one of my when I went to either visit France, Spain, or London, I would I actually watched Interstellar, and that was a good movie. It's starring Matthew McConaughey. Don't remember who else was in it, but it was a good movie. I didn't see it in theaters, but I wanted to watch it. So United provided it, and I was able to watch it. I'm thinking of what other good movies I saw for the first time when I was traveling. I love traveling as well. And I'm just talking about the process, the day of traveling a lot. But there's so many places, there are places I visited that I mentioned in previous videos that I've been to that I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think of what other films I've seen. Off the top of my head, the one that comes to mind is Interstellar. I don't really remember what else. I know I've seen Cloverfield several times, more times than I like to admit. Um, I've seen I've seen all three Cloverfield films, and I've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane twice. Actually, the Cloverfield Paradox twice as well. And I really enjoyed the Cloverfield Paradox, and I really enjoyed Cloverfield. Not, I mean, I enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane, but I'm not really. That's my least favorite movie of the franchise, and so I was able to see the Cloverfield. I've seen Cloverfield multiple times. You know, when I was either traveling in a plane or just when I was in Spain. I saw it. So when we were going from when we were taking a train from Madrid to Malaga. I've seen Glory Road, which is a true. It's based off of a true story. Not Cloverfield. That's not based. Cloverfield is not based off of a true story. Glory Road is. I keep wanting to like pronounce both of them at the same time. Glory Road is based off of the Texas Western Miners winning the college basketball NCAA Division One college basketball championship in 1966. That's Glory Road. That's based off of a true story. That is, I've seen that multiple times. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I say I enjoyed, but what I enjoyed was the fact that they overcame um the odds to win the national championship. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen it, but it's been out for more than 10 years, so um they overcame racism to actually uh win a national championship, and they were the first team in real life and in the movie to actually start five African American players in the national championship in NCAA Division One history, and they won the game. They beat an all-white Kentucky Wildcats team in 1966, and that was very historic. It's the first time they started five African American players in a national championship. So that was um. I hate that. The thing I hate is that they had to go through racism in real life because you shouldn't be a racist. No one should go through racism. No one should go through any form of discrimination or any form of persecution. No one should have to deal with bigotry in any form. So that part sucks that sucks that they went through that. So, but what I'm trying to say is I like the fact that it's what I like about the movie. It's a motivational movie, and it's a motivational story that if you can work hard, put your mind to anything, you can actually overcome. Another movie I saw was I don't remember the exact title, but it's like Kurt Warner, the American Underdog Story, and that is based off of the career of Kurt Warner, a quarterback who played in the NFL in the late 90s and early 2000, late 90s to maybe about 2008, 2009, around then. He went he went undrafted in the NFL after playing at the University of Northern Iowa, which is this. They were at the they were and I think still are at the second highest level of college football in the United States. When he played in the mid '90s for the University of Northern Iowa, and he went undrafted, and it just talks about his Christian faith and his how he met his now wife and her, I think one or two kids, her kids as well, and how he went from working part time at a stocking shelves at a grocery store to playing in the Arena Football League, earning as at the same time as stocking shelves and not earning a whole lot of money, just enough to get by, to trying out for the NFL and actually making the team. He made the team for the St. Louis Rams, now known as Los Angeles Rams, and he uh he led them to a Super Bowl appearance and a Super Bowl victory. Okay, that's pretty sad that I couldn't get in. And he went from basically being undrafted, not from no team wanting him, and he failed to make it the Green Bay Packers to leading the St. Louis Rams to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. And he is widely regarded as the greatest undrafted NFL player in history. And he is the only undrafted, if I remember correctly, he's the only undrafted player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the only undrafted player to become an NFL MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. Got some drinks, man. I got some lemon flavored water that My dad got me from Kroger, and I got some sparkling ice, citrus twist flavored water for me. Bear with me. I'm gonna take a quick drink. Um, I know I'm getting off sidetracked from traveling to movies now. Let's see, what are some other good movies I've seen? Um, I saw actually the 1953 version of War of the Worlds. Well, that's just, I wouldn't necessarily say it's good, but it's definitely interesting. Uh, Remember when I was in the eighth grade or about 13, I saw a movie called Glory, which is about the American Revolution. No, I want to say it's either about, if I remember correctly, it's either about the Civil War or the American Revolution. One of those is based off of those events. Excuse me for coughing. I found that movie to be interesting. Seen Ernie Davis, or the Express, the Ernie Davis story, which is about uh Ernie Davis who played college football in the 1950s, 1960s, and he was the first African American Heisman Trophy winner, which is the Heisman Trophy is the highest level, is the highest individual award in college football in the U.S. And he was the first African American player, and he led his team to a national championship. I believe it was 1959. So that's another good movie I saw. The Greatest Game Ever Played, which is about Francis Ouimet's story. Greatest Game Ever Played is about Francis Ouimet winning the 1913 U.S. Open, and it starred Shia LaBeouf in it, and that was another good movie as well. It was Francis Ouimet won the 1913 U.S. Open, and um, it was a golf tournament, and he was an amateur. I'm not sure if he was the first amateur, but it's widely regarded as one of the greatest golf upsets ever. I tend to like sports and science fiction movies. I like The Incredibles. Uh, uh, The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2, which is a Disney movie about a superhero family. I saw the first one as a kid, and the second one didn't come out until I was in my 20s, and I enjoyed both movies. He accepted it, didn't he? Let's go back. Wait, no, not EA Insider. What? They don't count the preseason games? That's messed up. Other movies I enjoy. The Untouchables. It's a French movie. I don't speak French, but I had to watch it with subtitles. That's a good movie. It's one of my favorite movies, The Untouchables. It's about this man who becomes a caretaker for I don't remember the correct term, but this guy's he can't move his arms or legs, and he's paralyzed from the neck down, and they just form a close friendship because this guy's not a trained caretaker and is from the poorer side of town. So now I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it's a much better movie than I explained it to be. So what else? That was a quick victory, a quick game, not quick game, quick goal. I'm slightly zoned out while talking and paying attention to the game, so ah shoot, that was a foul. The Rookie, starring I think it's Randy Quaid. Not really a big fan of him, but The Rookie was a good movie. It's about this former science teacher named Jack Morris, uh, teaching high school and coaching his high school's baseball team, and he it's based off of a true story. He eventually tries out for the Tampa Bay Rays and makes the team, and eventually makes his major league debut at the age of 35 in Major League Baseball. So, Invincible, starring Mark Wahlberg, is another good movie. It's also based off of a true story. It's about Vince Papali, who is an American football player, and I think in his 30s, late 20s, early 30s, he tried out for the Philadelphia 70, not the Philadelphia 76ers, the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, in the NFL for the Philadelphia, he tried out for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, and he makes the team. And he played, I think, for two seasons in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another good. That's another good movie. I want to see. I think it's called Invictus by Morgan Freeman, or starring Morgan Freeman. That's about the. I want to say it's about the '95 World Cup in South Africa. I know it's about. I know it's or about the Rugby World Cup in Africa, and I'm fairly confident it takes place in the 1990s. Like around the time apartheid ends, and thankfully apartheid ends. Sucks that it happened in the first place. Shouldn't have happened. But if I remember correctly, South Africa won the World Cup, and they hosted the World Cup as well. If there are any good movies y'all have seen, let me know, and let me know what they are, and I'll definitely try to check them out sometime. They're on Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime. I have Amazon Prime as well, or Disney Plus as well. Gotta have Amazon Prime. There's this B movie called Ferocious Planet. It was aired on the Sci-Fi Network about, I want to say it's roughly 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago. Did not see it when it first aired. I did manage to see it last year when I purchased it on iTunes. Um, it's a decent movie actually. I mean, it's not an A-list Hollywood movie. Don't expect it to be like well written or no disrespect to anyone that actually played a part was a part of the movie. It's not like the greatest movie ever made. It's not. It didn't win any uh awards for like best writing or best science fiction film or best acting or anything. But for low budget B movie, I thought it was pretty good. That's what I'm trying to say. And I thought, for the acting and writing was fairly good. But like I said, don't expect it to be some Oscar award winning movie for like special effects, CGI, acting, makeup, writing, best film. It's on that level, but it's not a bad movie either. Because there's some movies out there that are just so poorly acted, poorly written, and you can tell that they should have never been made, or they should have been done better or acted better. Ferocious Planet is not one of those. There's some B movies that are actually pretty good that are underrated, and I'm not talking about was it with Tommy Wiseau? I'm not talking about. I think it's The Room where it's not The Room where it's so bad it's good. I haven't actually seen The Room yet with Tommy Wiseau in it. There it's not one of those movies where it's so bad it's good. I'm talking about where those B movies where it's surprisingly better than you'd think. So I found The Mist to be interesting. The Mist was is based off of the Stephen King novella. I found that to be interesting. Didn't really like the ending though. I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but it was. I know Stephen King. It's different from the novel. Stephen King liked the ending, but I thought it was. Originally, I liked the ending, but then over time, I saw the movie a couple of times after watching it for the first time, and over time, I start to think that it's not really a good ending. It's very inconsistent as to the characters in their final scenes were very inconsistent to how they acted and how they went through the film. Ah, shoot, off the throughout the film. I think this one may be my least favorite. It's not bad, but it's not exactly my favorite. Okay, shall we make some subs? I think we should. Suarez can come out. Oh gosh. Put the wrong person in for Suarez's position. See. Shoot, what are some other good movies I've seen? Oh, the Disney franchise Descendants. Descendants 4 has not come out yet, but the first three were pretty interesting. I've seen the first High School Musical. I thought that was pretty good. I don't remember, and I haven't seen any of the High School Musical films afterwards. Now I've seen a couple of the Harry Potter films, but I've never seen all of them. I'm not a big fan of Daniel Radcliffe, or I know J.K. Rowling is fairly controversial, understandably so. But I would like to see the other, I would like to see the Harry Potter movies. I don't remember which ones I've seen, but I'm not a big fan of Tom Cruise, actually. But I found War of the Worlds to be interesting. That's his version of War of the Worlds. I say, well, his version, the one he starred in. The only thing I didn't like about it was really the aliens' tripods were buried beneath the ground. Yeah. I felt like if you're gonna do an alien invasion, the aliens and their machine should come from outer space, not buried beneath the Earth for an unknown period of time. But other than that, it was pretty good. I also saw him in the Tomorrow, and that was a pretty good movie. That's also about an alien invasion, but needless to say, I didn't watch those movies because of Tom Cruise. Actually, because of the other people in the movies, I watched them, but and because I like the plot. So, there's this there are War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells has been made into several films and TV shows. So I've seen just about every film version, nearly every film version. Um, I'm trying to think. So, the 1953 version was the one I was talking about. That was interesting earlier in the film. My favorite version is probably The Great Martian War of 1913 to 1917. It aired on the not the Sci-Fi Network, the History Channel. Uh, even though it would be now considered alternate history, actually. But this was still when History Channel made actual shows about history. Not that the Great Martian War of 1913 to 1917 is a true story, because it's not. But what I'm trying to say is that during that time period of when they aired the film, they actually did have TV shows that are actually based on history at the time. Now they don't. Um, anyway, The Great Martian War of 1913 to 1917 was a good movie. I enjoyed that. It's a form of alternate history. It basically replaces the World War One, which happened from 1914 to 1918, with the Great Martian War, and then it's a mockumentary essentially. And War of the Worlds Goliath, which is another alternate history film, but this time it's animated. It's made by a Malaysian production company, and it's in English as well. English is the only language I know, so anyway, it's this also takes place around the time of World War One, but unlike the Great Martian War, which I think the History Channel produced, it doesn't portray itself as a mockumentary or anything like that. It's just it basically recounts takes place 20 years after the novel and features many historical characters, and it takes place around the same time as World War One. That's another great version of the film. 2 minutes of extra time. That's good. Actually, several documentary films ESPN made in the 30 for 30 series that I enjoyed or found interesting. Um, oh gosh, the one I found interesting, there are a couple I found interesting. The one that comes to mind is about Michael Vick. That's interesting. It's shameful what he did, but at least to me, it seems like he's trying to make up for his mistakes and he's trying to change. There's yeah, at least Michael Vick's trying to change. So, and he hasn't gotten in trouble since. So, there's that. So I think I'm gonna end the video here, y'all. And thanks for watching. Another one, ESPN 30 for 30 film that's good is Al Davis versus the NFL. Anyway, I'm out. Deuce.